All right, everybody, what's going on? Welcome to the Alex Cuesta Show. How is everybody doing out there on this Wednesday evening, July 20th of 2022? Before we get into anything fun, like, share, follow, subscribe, rate 5 stars, spread this word of mouth. And as always on the socials, go search the Alex Cuesta Show and you'll find us hanging out there. Dave, you're back. Why are you still here?
Can't get rid of me.
No, you're kind of like that cancerous thing. I can't remove you. I
was going to say I was like a tumor, but I didn't feel like starting it off that way. But.
Oh, no. I think we start off every show, honestly, that way. But, you're here. You're still around. Anything new going on with you? I see you have. So for people that don't know, you got some V8. Yeah, you like that. For people that don't know, you actually have your Zappa and Poodle poster up there from, if anyone that didn't listen, last week's guest. We had Jackie Neiman Jones. She was on Mono's Hands of Fate, considered the worst movie of all time back in 1966. Brought back Mystery Science Theater 3000 in 1993. It's exploded a little bit. Cult following. You love that painting, Dave. You have it right back there.
Oh, 100%. Right next to my BioShock poster, which is crooked because putting up posters is way too difficult and I wasn't dealing with it anymore.
Adulting. But BioShock's about to be ruined for him, just like Lord of the Rings is about to be ruined for me because we are both nerds. But enough being a nerd. Today is not a nerdy show. Today is today's a manly show. Today we are going to be having a good time. If anyone that listened to my other podcast, Sports Opinions podcast, we all know that I love jumping back into Manchester. I've had on Coach Boschman. I had on Coach Moore. I had on a few people on here, some of my good friends. I've definitely talked about my time that I went back to coach there a little. Dave and I were both athletes there. And I'm not going to lie. I had on, Coach Lister, who was the athletic director. We talked a little at one point for Sports Opinions. He was one of my last episodes there before transitioning here. But I haven't made it a secret. I have not been happy with the choices of the Manchester Township football program. I was one of my good buddies who was on this show as well, Sports Opinions podcast. He was passed up not once, but twice. And I wasn't too happy about it. But what I found out was who is there now is an individual that not only has the rubber stamp from a Steve Fence, who I'm best friends with, very good, close friends with, but also someone who I respect highly, Gerard O'Donnell, who was also the head football coach, my defensive coordinator, the person that let me coach underneath him. So I'm super excited to have on the brand new head football coach at Manchester Township High School, Coach Tommy Farrell. What's up, Coach?
How we doing, guys? Thanks for having me. And, I know you're talking about Coach Fence and Coach O'Donnell. I know we'll get into that in a little bit. Coach Fence is the reason why I'm coaching football. Gave me my first coaching job in 2018. I coached with him for 2 years at New Egypt. What a class act. And I know you've probably known him longer than I have. I've known him since 2017. So you've probably known him longer than I have. I got married. Actually, my 1-year anniversary is next week.
Congrats.
My wedding last year. Just a great football coach, better man, as you know, and I know that's cliche. He knows how to get the kids to have fun because at the end of the day, football's fun. Sports are fun, and it shouldn't be work. And that's what I've learned from him. And then you talk about Gerard O'Donnell. I call him Uncle G. He's my dad's best friend. I've known him since I was born. So to have a former head coach on my staff, calling the offense with Jeff Brown, wow. Like I'm the luckiest man in the world to not only be sitting here as a head coach, but to have the staff that I have and to be coaching under the coaches that I have. Just an unbelievable, that just speaks to Fence and Kaz and Eatman, all the coaches I've coached under, and my Uncle G. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. So it's not about me. And I know we have one of my players on as well. It's about the kids and it's about where I came from. And I'm just lucky to be sitting in this chair right now talking to you guys. And again, no, that's cliche, but it's really the truth.
Yeah. And, one thing about Fence, though, is, and this from coaching with him, he's a great guy. He knows how to have fun. But when he gets in a rhythm calling plays on offense, you're screwed. There's nothing you can do.
No, get away from him.
There's nothing you can do, though. If you ever are coaching against him, you know it. You're going to know when you just see him in a rhythm. And I know you're a defensive guy. You're going to be calling a defense going, he's seeing everything. And I know he is. I'm screwed right now. But one of the things that you're going to rely on is players like a guy that you have on right now. He's on the show with us. You invite him to come on. I'm a football alumni. David played Manchester high school football as well. I always like to have the kids on. He's actually going to be our first high school athlete on. So this is an honor for me. I don't think it's going to be too much of an honor for you. Tyrone Benjamin, wide receiver, cornerback, and senior on the team. One of the leaders. What's going on, Ty?
Thank you guys for having me. I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing good. So, man, what's it like for you right now? Like, you've had to be going through a whirlwind. You've had a few head coaches in your 4 years. This one is less than a decade older than you probably. Like, what's going on with you right now in the summer program? So first off, congrats on being a senior. Don't get senioritis too quick. It happens fast, man. But
it already happened.
It already happened. Don't tell coach that. You can't tell coach. Are you the reason why he's making us do a study hall again? Like, come on now. But so what's it been like? Talk to me a little bit about. It had to be weird coming in as a freshman. You were kind of like, all right, I got to learn from the old guys. You learn a little. Then sophomore, junior year, COVID hits. No summer program. Everything's different. Now you're a senior. Everybody's looking up to you, trying to look to you for ideas, trying to figure out what the hell's going on by your leadership. What has been the transition of you now becoming one of the leaders of the team?
It was definitely a big change, especially like you said, now I'm becoming a senior. Now everybody's looking up to me. I have to lead. I have to show an example. And it's fast. It's happening fast. Like, I don't take high school football for granted. And I want everybody to know that everything goes by very quick. So enjoy. No matter what position you're playing or what varsity or JV or freshman, doesn't matter. You want to enjoy it.
All right. So at the risk of offending Coach OD and Coach Brown, wide receiver or corner, which one you like better?
I gotta go receiver.
Oh man, Coach, I don't know about this one. I'm a defensive guy, man.
I love offense.
That's good. All right. So we got to get this man the ball. That's all I know. We got to get this man the football. So, Coach, I want to jump back over to you real quick. You're coming in, young guy, brand new. You have a fantastic staff. I listened to your interview on the Shore Report. It was a great interview. I got a nice overview of the team and of the athletes. You sent me over a bunch of fun stuff too. But you walk in and I'm a little bit older than you. I did Division I track over at Marist College. I ran. Not very good, but I ran. I did it. And I just remember going back and coaching. And even, I coached for about 4 or 5 years post-college. And I just remember just being still in my 20s, a young guy just looking at it going, I could definitely still do this. Like, I'm still one of them. Like, but now you're not an assistant. You went that route. Now you're the head coach. What was it like walking in and seeing some 18-year-old guys and going, they're not my friends. I like them a lot, but I'm their head coach. Like, I got to be, what's the mentality jumping in to being the head coach right now?
Yeah. So first of all, Alex, do not poo-poo what you did in college, because being a Division I athlete is not easy at all. I mean, I was a Division II football player, and yes, that's a scholarship level, but running for Marist, that's a testament to you and what you did at Manchester. That's don't poo-poo that, because that's an amazing testament to you and what you did. But look, coming into Manchester, I'll never forget, I went through the interview process. I was a finalist for another job last year at 26. Now I'm 27. It didn't really hit me. And I don't even know if we call him TZ. I don't even know if TZ will know this, but my first team meeting, I think, was end of May. And I had about over 104 kids in the auditorium at Manchester. Oof. And that's when it hit me. And I said jokingly to Mr. Lister in my interview and Mr. Adams, I wish the kids were interviewing me. It had nothing to do with them and their stature and what they know. But I believe in a reverse hierarchy. I work for my assistants and I work for my kids, and like a principal should work for their administrators and administrators should work for the teachers, so on and so forth. So when I saw 104 young men in the auditorium, it kind of like, this is like, be careful what you wish for, because it might just come true. That moment happened to me. But then I thought, wow, I have a little brother who's 10 years younger than me, who's a year older than Tyrone. He's going to be a freshman at Monmouth University. I was like, I'm coaching kids around his age and I'm friends with his friends. But I had to, and Tyrone can tell you, I had to make it a point to, yes, I can be, I hope I'm someone you respect, and that I should earn that. It's not given just because of my title. But we're going to change the culture at Manchester, and you guys know the culture more than I do. Not saying that it was terrible.
I'm going to talk to TZ about that directly the next time. We're going to talk about that real quick.
Look, let's call a spade. Only been to the playoffs twice since 1974, never winning a playoff game. One division championship. Why? And I hate the saying that's, oh, Manchester always has athletes. Well, you know what? Then if we don't win in the next few years, that's on me as the head coach. If I can't win and I'm not speaking ill, please don't get me wrong. I'm not speaking ill of the last head coaches, because one of them was my uncle who's on our staff now. Look, it's a basketball school, it's a track school, but how about we make it an academic school? How about we make it a community service school? Because if you take care of those little things, then wow, then why not fight for each other and go up against Lakewood Week 1, who is an unofficial rival, in my opinion, down Route 70 and win. So did it take me for a loop? It didn't really hit me till that first team meeting when I saw 100 kids. When I'm used to coaching at Group 1 schools like New Egypt and Shore and Parsippany. And and I said to Tyrone and I said to the team, we went to the state semifinals last year at Shore Regional with 23 kids. I don't need 104. Yeah. I need 11. So if you're not going to buy into what we're doing, then you can walk. I mean, I know that sounds abrupt, but that's the truth. And that's kind of what I'm trying to build here. And I have no aspirations to coach in college. I have no aspirations to coach anywhere else. Me and my wife just moved to Pine Lake Park 2 years ago. I have no aspirations to move. We bought
moved my mom out of Pine Lake Park to Whiting.
Look, I bought my forever home, in my opinion. We got a 4-bedroom house right before COVID. We don't have kids yet. I have no reason to move. I want to be at Manchester for as long as they'll have me. And I know things change and I know things happen, but I really, truly mean that. At 27, and yes, everyone's being receptive and the parents are receptive. But I haven't lost a game yet. So everything's going great, right? I'm in the honeymoon stage, as people are telling me. But we're not I really am happy where I'm at. And I have the kids where I'm at. And, actually Tyrone's class is the fewest kids in a class that we have. The seniors are our smallest class. We have over 30 sophomores. We have over 20 juniors. We have over 20 freshmen. And I think we have about a dozen seniors. Nothing against Tyrone's class at all, but the future's bright if they want to buy in. So I know that was a long answer to your question, but I'm just, as you can tell, I'm fired up
You're jacked up. Dave, if you have any questions, just jump right in if you have anything to ask.
I'm good for right now.
All right. So TZ, I want to jump to you real quick. So, Coach mentioned the culture. And, and it's true. And one of the things that, he's probably heard it. And like he said, he kind of poo-pooed it. He played in the Shores. So everyone's heard we do have athletes. And we do. You look at all the other sports, we have some of the best athletes in the conference. And it's not even a question. But what I hope that you guys can change, in which we had a problem with, I know David's class had a problem with because I coached over at the high school with them, is we have a lot of athletes, but they're not in the weight room playing football. They're not on the field. They're walking on the railroad tracks of Lakehurst. They're walking in the hallways, looking at you in your varsity jacket going, man, I got a job. Like, they're not coming to practice. So for you as a leader and for you trying to pass something down to the other, the other guys that are there. And, Coach Farrell said the numbers are great right now. TZ, you've been there. The numbers are always great in the beginning, right? And then how many drop once they start to see how hard the work needs to be put in. So what's your thought process there on how to change that? Because we do have them. We have the great athletes, especially in the skill positions. I've always known we've had amazing skill players. Yeah. How do we get that to change? What is your idea here as one of the senior leaders?
Like Coach Farrell said, he only took 23, but I feel like we should take 80 or 90 or how many people we have, only because I feel like the work there, it's going to pay off. Like you said, people see Manchester as just some little team that just gets ran over every single game, but that's not going to happen this season. We're going to change something. We're going to build something better. And as a senior, I'm going to win all the possible games I can, and I'm going to leave something for the juniors to pick up on, and they're going to do what they can do, then so on and so forth.
So I'm going to jump in. This could be a question for whoever wants to take this first, because this kind of has to do with both of you guys,
Okay.
both Coach and TZ here. One of the things, Coach, you talked about in your shore interview, you guys have some big ones. You have a good offensive lineman, and we all take notice with good, big offensive linemen. But my biggest question is, they could be big. We had some big dogs, but they were soft as all hell. And weight room don't mean nothing. They can lift a lot, but when they get their hand in the dirt, when they get up, their pad level's high, their legs aren't strong, they're not using their they don't have that fire. And a lot of times Manchester linemen, the ones that have the fire are $180 and they're just fighting their ass off.
Right.
Give me something to get jacked up about. Do we have some dudes in the low twos, mid twos that are just strong and also nasty as can be? Like, easy, I need some nasty bigs.
Easy, talk about your boys there. Come on.
Let's hear it.
Oh yeah. We got some big guys. And like you said, they're not like, I'm not gonna lie to you, they're not soft. They're gonna bring you to the ground and do what they're gonna do to you. Like, I'm not gonna say too much. I'm just gonna show you guys week 1. That's it.
I love that. And going off what TZ said, like, look, the first thing I did, even when I wasn't hired, just in the final round of interviewing for this job, I was at Shore Regional last year and we played Manchester. What did I do? I went back on Huddle and I watched them. And I see dudes like Tito Sabayo, Nakai Davis, Calvin Spicer. And, you talk about not having the biggest dudes. Well, Calvin Spicer reminds me of me in high school. A 5'11", $180 center who also plays middle linebacker, but is a dog. Then you talk about like 6'2", 280 Tito Sabayo, who doesn't take no for an answer. Nakai Davis, who's been at college camps left and right. Gavin Herr, who has the man bun. I tell him he looks like Maui from Moana. He was the first person, and nothing against TZ, he was the first person the morning after I got board approved to ask me for a workout plan. You're talking about kids who are buying into changing a culture. And that's a testament to them. That has nothing to do with me. And Alex, we were talking an hour ago before we recorded this podcast. I didn't want it to be about me. I wanted to bring TZ on because, like I said, I wish the kids interviewed me to get this job. It's not about me. And for the head coaches that, and there's not a lot out there, thank God, but there's a lot of head coaches who are in it for the title and for the clout. I'm not about that. Do I believe I'm the right man for this job? Absolutely, or else I wouldn't have applied. But I'm in it because I believe at 27 years old, I can lead these men to where they need to be. Being a Manchester resident and giving back to the community in this way. And I know I'm a Donovan alumni, don't kill me. And I know we were rivals. And I know I'm a Toms River East resident, but now I'm a Manchester resident.
Donovan doesn't exist. It's Monsignor Donovan. I've never played Donovan in my life.
There you go. Okay. But as a Manchester resident now for the last 2 years, I'm all in, guys. I know I'm a Catholic school alum, but I'm a public school guy now through and through. And I'm all in. And I said, But with what we have, and I know Manchester has thrown the ball a lot, and I'm sure we'll talk about schemes, but we're a different Manchester football team because it's about the Jimmies and the Joes, not the X's and the O's. And with the personnel we have, and I know TZ is going to get mad at me, and he's going to play a bunch of different positions on offense, not just wide receiver, not just Z-back. Like, we're planning to run the ball 70 to 80% of the time. And we're going to run old school smash mouth. And look, I see him smirking on the camera over there. He's
easy. Just make sure he throws you a bunch of jet screens. Just get the jet screens. They're a guaranteed 5. If you got a good guy stalk blocking you from the slot, you take a jet screen, cut in, you get an easy 5.
He loved 7. He loved 7-on-7. Don't get me wrong. But then our first 3 offensive installs were power, counter, and ISO. And he's over there like, Coach, what are we doing?
Hey, TZ, I'll tell you this. College scouts love a wide receiver that can stalk block. Mm-hmm. Love a nasty wide receiver that can stalk block and can get out the safeties. So, Coach, I got to ask you about this because this might be – it's digging a little, and you can answer this how you want. But the culture around football has changed since me and you have played 100%. I think the days of, Mondays for me were film session. You get in, you do your film, and then you talk and you install for the week game plan, hand out your scouting reports, and then the rest of the week. And I know it's tough because there's so limited time with all the new high school rules, but how are you going to go about as a coach? And, I feel like a kid like TZ could take it. He seems like he's an upstanding guy, doesn't take criticism the wrong way. But how are you going to go up there as a coach? So I remember sitting there in film room and pardon my French a little, some of the coaches playing back. And if you made a mistake going, Cuesta, the fuck was that? We didn't teach that. Like flipping out and going 3 plays over and going back to this play and be like, you remember this play, Cuesta? like if you do something good, like really whipping you and getting into you. And I don't know how much that flies anymore. And if that's something that, you know, as a coach, if you want to take that into you. So not to put you on the spot, but I was just kind of curious in terms of the culture differences that you've seen coming in coaching as an assistant coach a few years. Like, how are you going to handle that? Because I feel like that's an important part to raising young men in order to hold them accountable. But I think it's a little bit of a different situation going on now.
Me personally, I feel like I want our coach to show us what we did wrong and what we did right, because if he doesn't show us what we did wrong, we're going to look over it and just go to the next play. I don't want that to happen ever. I don't want to have a bad play ever, but, you know, everybody makes mistakes and things happen. But I want coach to point out at us like what we did wrong, so we could look at that play, study that play, and make sure that doesn't happen again, because something can happen once. Okay, that's a mistake, but happening twice can't happen.
Yeah, I like that answer, Coach. What do you got on that?
I had a bad connection, guys. I apologize.
No, you're good.
No, that's fine. Go ahead, Coach.
No, but going off of what you said, you know, I'm a very, and TZ will tell you, I'm all about positive energy. I believe in karma. I believe in if you're going to rip a teammate, well, guess what? Something bad's going to happen to you, because you shouldn't be ripping your teammate. You should be picking them up. And you know what, TZ, I'm going to call you out on this podcast right now, because there was a time in the 7-on-7 where he was really mad at himself. And I said, you know, it would be a great example to bench a senior. And credit to him. He picked himself up. Yes, sir. I apologize. Won't happen again. Boom. We shut out Middletown North for the second half of the for the first half of the 7-on-7. And that's a testament to him, but that's a testament to what we stand for, right? I played for Coach Duddy, and everyone knows Coach Duddy at Monsignor Donovan.
Played against Coach
Talk
Duddy.
About a motivational speaker. I mean, I was with LJ Clark yesterday, who's the head coach at Lakewood, who were playing week 1, and I got lunch with him. TZ, don't kill me. All right. I went out with the Lakewood coach week 1. But
you're still good, Coach. I still got you.
Yeah.
No, I think he skipped out.
Oh, now he lost.
No, we lost him for a second. But yeah, no, TZ, I'm not gonna. I like what I hear coming out of you as a senior leader. I'm pumped to hear what you're bringing to the table. So your expectations seem to be high. Are you thinking this year, are you thinking a division title is feasible for the unit that you're seeing? I know it's a lot to expect. Believe me, I was a part of a 4-win Manchester team when we had one of the best running backs in the conference, bar none. What are your expectations? Do you expect them to compete for the division title, if not win it this year?
Oh yeah, I expect to win it. I'm not competing. Well, obviously we have to compete, but you know, I'm not gonna stop or get my foot off the gas. I'm gonna keep going no matter what the score is or what quarter we're in. You know, I want my teammates to know that too. No matter what the score is and what the quarter is, we're not stopping until it hits fourth quarter 0-0. And we want that division title. We're gonna bring it back to Manchester. We're gonna celebrate. That's how I'm doing it this year.
It's what I love to hear. So you're obviously one of the leaders. I love hearing you talk. I hope the guys are receptive to you, because I feel like you're a great guy to listen to. Who else on the team are you pointing to, are you leaning on to kind of help you lead the way? Because, you know, one guy's good, but unless there's a group, you know for a fact, especially some of our Manchester guys, if one guy's chirping, it's like, he ain't cool. I ain't listening to him. Right. Who's the other leaders that you lean on? Are they other seniors, or are there some juniors you can throw in there? Who else are you leaning on to lead?
I'm gonna lead on to one of the upcoming juniors, and it all starts with the quarterback. You know, you can't really run an offense without a quarterback, and that's Joe Horowitz. And I want him to know that no matter what goes on, we're always going to have his back. And I really need him to like step up this year, because like Savon Myers, he was a good quarterback. I loved him, but now he's gone. We can't really worry about him. And it's the next guy up, and it's Joe. And I want him to continue what he did and just do better, you know?
So have you had a chance to look at any huddle, look at anything that Lakewood does for week 1? Are you already starting to look at kind of Lakewood film, or anything starting to break it down, or anything that the coaches have talked to you guys about specifically that Lakewood does that you guys think that you can do to kind of shut them down week 1?
Yeah, I looked at Lakewood film already. I looked at 3 or 4 of their games, and you know, I don't want to say too much on the podcast because I don't want to reveal what we're going to do to Lakewood.
I hear that,
but just know it's going to be bad.
And Ty, on top of that, do you have any friends at Lakewood? Because I always knew all my teams, all my boys, they had friends at Lakewood. I had friends at Lakewood that I competed against, and there was nothing better than getting on the field. And it, you know, there's a lot of teams, like there's some Toms River kids that I knew and stuff, but it seems like Lakewood and Manchester have always had a pretty tight group connection. Are there some boys you know on that team that you're going to be happy to smack?
Yeah, yeah, I know a couple of boys. I actually played with one of them growing up.
I can't hear you too well, Coach. What's up?
I said, be careful, TZ.
Yeah.
He's just been giving us some good stuff. Honestly, you have a good young man here, Coach. He's a very good leader. Very, he's smart too. He's smart and he's cerebral. He's saying what he wants to do, but not the plan on how to do it. I love it.
You would think from a technology teacher, I would have a good Wi-Fi connection. So I apologize.
Hey, Coach, honestly, I have a network extender right here behind me. And there are times where I do this show where I have no connection. We pay for internet for no reason. We really do.
That's a fact. So I'm sorry for coming in and out on that.
Fine.
You were saved by your players. Like, hopefully you're going to be a whole bunch of times this year to wins.
Oh, yeah. I always got Coach back.
There we go. All right. So, Coach, did you remember what you were saying? Because I got into a nice conversation with TZ.
Yeah. No. I remember talking about Coach Duddy and how
you were getting lunch with him.
And I know.
Well, Coach. Yeah, go ahead, Coach Clark.
I played for Coach Duddy, and you were talking about how I'm going to coach these kids and lead these kids, and playing for a guy like Coach Duddy, he is the most motivational speaker I can. You want to run through a brick wall for him, and to give a surprise element to TZ, he's going to be talking to us before our first scrimmage. I can tell you every pregame speech my senior year. For example, Lakewood week 2. You don't have a locker room at Lakewood. He pulls out a dead squirrel out of the woods. There's an example. We go to Barnegat somewhere in the middle of the season. He gives us not the who do you play for, where do you live? Because as you know, Donovan is all over Ocean County. So what's your address and who do you play for? We went to Rumson. He was standing on top. He was standing on top of a kitchen table or a cafeteria table. He was jumping up and down. He smacked the thing in half. There's just different example. RBC, when we played RBC against Quentin Nelson in the playoffs, it was a 4-5 game. We were the 5 seed. They were the 4 seed. They beat us 56-0. I was a center at 180 blocking Quentin Nelson, who's now the best lineman in football. And I remember Coach saying they haven't played a team with a winning record. So we go into this game thinking, we got a shot. And now, meanwhile, I'm getting yelled at to try to cut Quentin Nelson. And I'm like, you come out here and try to cut Quentin Nelson. Like, he's 18 years old, committed to Notre Dame. But, to lead these young men in 2022 is a little different, right? Like, like I said before, I'm a big positive energy guy. I believe in karma. If you give positive energy, you're going to get it back. So when I'm coaching, I'm not really a yeller. I'm more of a be coachable and be positive. Yes, sir. No, sir. If you're going to make a mistake, that's fine. But don't make the same mistake twice in one day. If you're going to make the same mistake twice in one day, that means you're not coachable. If you're going to make a different mistake, make a different mistake, because then that means, okay, then that's my job as a coach. Look, I'm not coaching Notre Dame or Alabama. I'm coaching Manchester high school football. So if you can make a new mistake and then we can coach that, then you make a new mistake, we can coach that. That's growth. That's what we stand for. But if you're going to make the same mistake more than once, it means you're not coachable. And that's something that we don't tolerate. And it's tough to do. It's tough to change a culture, but and TZ will tell you that's kind of what we're striving for right now. That's kind of what we're building. So
can I tell you how much I hate RBC for having both Donald Brown and Quentin Nelson coming from the same school? Why is that okay? We're, TZ, you've got to be our Quentin Nelson, be our Donald Brown, be our guy. Let's go, man. 2,000 yards this year. Make Coach Farrell throw the ball. Anyway, we're going to do a quick we're going to do a shift here because, Coach, you don't come from a traditional background to becoming a coach. You actually come from media and news. And there was a few moons ago where I had my other podcast where I knew you were connected to Fence. So I tried to get you to come on. You were ready to go. And Chasing News said, nope, can't come on. So it was kind of shocking to see you become the head coach. And now you're on the show. It's pretty cool. But what spurred the move to get you to go from a career, a pretty legitimate career in media, to now becoming a teacher and a coach?
So going to school, and that's a great question. It has nothing to do with Fox or NFL Films where I worked, but going to school at Donovan, we had MDTV, right? Monsignor Donovan Television. And by the time I was a freshman, I mean, even before I was a freshman, I remember watching the Giants losing to the Ravens really badly in the Super Bowl. I think that was 2002. And I remember, and my dad's a Giants fan and I'm a Chiefs fan. We won't get into that right now, but my dad's a diehard fan, and he goes, I said to my dad, I said, do these announcers get paid or do they have to pay to go to the Super Bowl? He goes, no, they get paid. I go, they get paid to go to the Super Bowl? How do I do that? That's what I want to do. So from the time I was little, I thought I was going to be the next Stuart Scott, next Chris Berman. That's all I wanted to do. And going to Monsignor Donovan, we had a good media arts department. I was on MDTV all 4 years. I go to Stonehill on a football scholarship, Division II. I start Sky News, which is a TV department at Stonehill, and I majored in communications. I double majored with English. I don't really have a job lined up after Stonehill. I go to Syracuse, the #1 communication school in the country, and get my master's in broadcast journalism at the Newhouse School. I'm meeting guys like Costas. I'm meeting guys like Mike Tirico. I'm meeting guys like Matt Park. I'm meeting celebrities left and right who have done this for a living. Jason Benetti, all guys I have in my phone book. And I'm like, wow, it was hard. I was bartending probably 4 nights a week up until 2 a.m. And then I'm going to class at 8 a.m. getting my master's degree. And it's no joke.
Yep.
So I'm doing it. I love it. I wouldn't say I love it. I would say I like it. I have the itch for football because it's my first year not really being involved with football in a fall. But I got a PA announcing job at Skinny Atlas High School, which is kind of like a New Egypt, a very small school in the outskirts of Syracuse, a very farm town on a lake. There's kids showing up to practice in their farm boots, like very, very blue collar. I'm announcing them. They win the state championship, and I'm their PA announcer. Nice. And I'm like, I need to be on the sideline. So after Syracuse, I get my first job at NFL Films, and I'm back in New Jersey, right? I'm 40 minutes from Toms River to Mount Laurel. I'm working on the NFL matchup show. They were looking for a communications major who played college football. What's more perfect than that, right? Yep. So I'm working with Matt Bowen, Sal Palantonio, Greg Cosell, and I'm literally, my job, break down film. Why are the Chargers running dime personnel? Why are the Chiefs running 5 wide on first down? Like stuff like that. And I loved it. But it was only a seasonal job. If it was a full-time job, probably would have stayed there. But needed to pay the bills, wanted to propose to my girlfriend at the time. So I get a job with Chasing News on Fox 5 New York and My 9 New Jersey. And it's a great gig. It's a New York station, but it's at a Trenton satellite. So again, only really 45 minutes from Toms River, where I'm living with my parents, and I'm doing a good job. I'm on the air, I'm producing. I learned a lot, but again, missed being on the sideline. At Chasing News is where I took more of a volunteer role with Coach Fentz in 2019, and going there on Friday nights and not being there during practice during the week, it's like. What were you guys doing? What were you guys getting? And don't get me wrong, I was watching film. So if anyone at Fox is watching me, I'm sorry, but I was watching film during my lunch. But I wanted to do it full time. So kind of in the background, I'm getting my teaching cert. I get my TV production cert and technology cert. And I decided to tell my fiance at the time, I want to change careers. And this is literally during COVID, where jobs are at a scarce, and she's an ICU nurse at Jersey Shore Hospital, and God bless her because she supported me. And I interview for Parsippany. I get a TV production job, my first teaching job, and I get the defense coordinator job. But I live in Manchester, so I'm driving an hour 45 every day. But I wouldn't trade it for the world, because if it wasn't for the commute, I would have stayed there forever. Great administration, great kids, learned a lot. Shore Regional opens up the next year. 30 minutes from my house, same job, same position, little more pay. And I'm like, okay, this is great. I love the kids at Shore Regional. Coach baseball the last few. I have a better baseball resume than a football resume. Baseball, I've made it to the semifinals 5 times. I've only made it to the semifinals once during football at Shore.
I'll change that.
So I love the kids. I'm like, he's all pissed. He's like, come on, coach.
Stop talking about Shore.
And then Manchester opens up, I'm like, I live in town. Why not get my name in the hat? And here we are now. Had nothing really to do with media, except I really just miss being on the sideline. I got hurt my junior year in college. I blew my knee out. It was kind of supposed to be my year. I was a preferred walk-on at first, and I really worked to be a starter my junior year, and then I blow my knee out my third day of practice. But I never missed a practice. I'm on the sideline, and I'm like, I need to do this full time. But I gave my degree a chance, right? Worked in NFL Films, went to Syracuse, went to Chase News, and had a good career. But I knew this was what I was meant to do. I wake up before my alarm. I get there at 6:45, 7 o'clock for an 8 o'clock lift. And granted, I'm 4 minutes from school, but I was doing that at Shore and Parsippany too. I mean, I wouldn't trade this for the world. I'm in the kid business. I'm kind of like Santa Claus. Wouldn't trade it for the world. So that's kind of my career in a nutshell. I know I went on for a little bit, but
that's okay. That's okay.
Kind of
trying to pick your brain now. Now, TZ, what's it like having a coach now that might be more tech savvy than the rest of the freaking team? Like, it's got to be bizarre sitting there knowing that he probably understands the trend. So when you're trying to sit there and say something new, you're like, shit, does coach know this one? Like, we're trying to say something that he might know. Like, does coach know this? Like, we know probably they don't. Like, the only ones you expect to know is maybe Coach Lund and Coach Blaine. Like, they might know, but now Coach Farrell might know. Like, what is it like sitting there like, man, he might know this stuff better than we do?
Yeah, Coach, he's definitely gonna be watching. Like, he's told us already, he's gonna be watching our social media. So make sure you don't do anything stupid. But like, nobody on our team is gonna do that. But they all know now, and especially he's gonna be in the building. So I'm probably gonna take one of his classes too, just to be around him more and get a better chemistry with Coach. But it's a big thing, especially because he's young too. He knows all the trends going on. He knows what TikTok and Instagram is. So it's nothing new to him, at least.
So I'll say this to you, TZ, and it's something that when I substituted at Manchester for a few years and I coached. I don't know, Coach Farrell, you might be this way. I know some coaches. I leaned on my athletes more than anybody to kind of keep the classroom in order, to kind of make sure that no one was doing anything stupid. And I held all of you guys to a much higher standard than I held any of the other non-athletes or things like that. As a senior, as a leader, are you going to kind of preach that to your boys as well, TZ, to make sure that you, especially when we're at the coach, you're helping coach out. You keep the morons in line. You make sure that everyone's doing their thing. And, even with someone like, I don't know what teachers are there anymore, but maybe if you're in Miss Staples' class, like, I love Miss Staples. She's an amazing human. But you know what? Like, make sure everyone's being in line for her. Make sure everyone's listening to her. She's awesome. Right. Like, I feel like that's the role of your athletes in school more than anything else.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Even like last year, for track at least, some people were falling down, and we really needed them to come up in states. And I helped them pick up their grades, and I wouldn't mind doing that this year as well, especially because I'm a senior and I'm a leader now, and people are going to rely on me. And then I'm going to be watching other people too, like make sure they're okay in classrooms, because I know, like I said, I've been here for 4 years, and some of them have only been here for 1 or 2. And I know I know what teachers they have and who the teachers are. So I'm going to make sure, and I'm keeping them on their toes that they're doing their work and stuff.
That's awesome. That is really good to hear. And I hope, I know coach loves to hear that, because that's a big part of the culture change. It's having leadership like you and hopefully other young men like you that are willing to lead. And, study hall is going to be a thing. I heard Coach Farrell say that. Just having the guys kind of get on each other like, hey, you're sitting on a C, get your shit done. Let's keep that up. Let's get you to a B so we know you're safe. Like those types of things that I think are going to be a big deal. TZ, I'm not going to lie. I'm inspired. I might be inspired more by you than I am by Coach. Sorry, Coach.
Sorry, Coach.
But
you should be. It's not about me. It's about these kids, man. And it makes my job easier to have a senior like Tyrone and Eli and Calvin and Tito and, all these kids, and, having an underclass, like over 30 sophomores, it makes my job a hell of a lot easier. To be a new, 27-year-old head coach, to have kids like Tyrone on the team and just lead it. Like I said, and Alex, you played football, and David, you too, like, you listen to your teammates more than the coaches. I don't want them to play for me. I want them to play for each other. I want them to police each other, because the more they police each other, the less I have to do. And that's not lazy. That's just coming from senior leadership. And I know TZ and the rest of the senior class can do that. I know they're capable of doing that as well.
You've also been around some amazing coaches. So you have seen the most successful ones or the ones that aren't the authoritarians or aren't, they're the ones that rely on their assistants. They rely on their senior leadership and they just kind of lay the foundation for what a good football team is supposed to be. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about your assistants because I've never seen a dual coordinator position. How's it going to work with OD and Coach Brown? You know, I don't know Coach Brown, but I know Coach OD, and I just know that his football mind is insane. I think at times, I've told him this, he should have been a college coach. He knows more than more individuals. And the way he talks about the game, he'll say something new and he'll be like, you get that? And it's like, no, I don't. Well, it was simple. Yeah, it was simple to you, OD, because you're a savant. Like, what's simple to him is like calculus for everybody else come football. How is that? What's the dynamic there between those two? Who's going to be calling plays? Are they going to be switching it up? How's that going to work? Or is that a trade secret so the teams don't know who's actually calling it?
Yeah. So let me start off with my Uncle G real quick, because I call him like a weird scientist. Like you kind of said, like he might understand calculus, but to deliver calculus to a 17, 16-year-old kid is a little different. To describe our offense, who he thinks is like, oh, we're just going to run RPO. We're just going to run a flood concept to the boundary off of cover two. Like that takes teaching. And Don't get me wrong, he's great with kids and he's a phenomenal teacher. But he is, like you said, he brings a plethora of knowledge. He brings head coaching experience that I don't know about. So the head coaching experience that I never dealt with, right? Parent communication, missing jerseys, physicals, stuff like that you don't really have to deal with. Him and Coach Masseri, who we'll talk about a little bit, who's a Hall of Fame coach, just honored to have them on my staff. So OD was actually my father's quarterback in high school. So him and my dad played at Donovan at St. Joe's together in the 80s. My dad was the running back. OD was the quarterback. My dad was the catcher. OD was the pitcher. Mm-hmm. So and then my dad was the head coach at Donovan. OD was the assistant. OD was the head coach for baseball. My dad was the assistant. So they've always been kind of neck and neck and best friends together. So to have my uncle on my staff is just awesome. And having him in the building is even better. He's been at Manchester teaching there probably for over 20 years. And that's just awesome to have him.
Coach he was around Brown, when I was there.
And he was my teacher.
Coach Brown, he's in his mid-30s. He's an up-and-coming coach in the Shore Conference. I'll tell you that. I'd be lucky to have him for the next several years. He's an O-line coach. He's our run game coordinator. He's an O-lineman from Jackson Memorial. He played at Springfield College, I believe. He won a state championship as a player. I believe he went to the state championship. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry, Coach, or at least went there as a coach, coached at Mainland Regional. He taught at Lakehurst. Now he's teaching at Freehold. So I had lunch with the legendary Al Sainer, who's the head coach at Point Borough for almost like Warren Wolf. He's been there I think he still has the longest winning streak in the state of New Jersey. He won like 4 or 5 years in a row in the 80s at Point Borough. The field's named after him. He told me my number one hire is an O-line coach. And when I'm in the red zone, I got to run the best running back behind the best lineman in the red zone. And that's where Jeff Brown comes in. Couldn't have asked for a better hire. He's going to be running the run game. OD is going to be running the pass game, but together they've been working together nonstop. I don't know how it's going to work come playtime because I'm more of a defensive guy, but I know that they'll get the job done. I know they respect each other. I know that they'll defer to one another. And if at the end of the day, I am the head coach, I have to make a decision, I will. But they both know football. And to bring that knowledge to my staff is huge. So if it's 3rd and 5, are we going to run the ball or pass the ball? I prefer to run the rock. But if OD, says, no, we have a mismatch here on the boundary, I'll take that into consideration. So it's like an Andy Reid, Eric Bieniemy situation, right? Like who's going to call the plays? Not really sure. It'll go through me, but honored to have them both on my staff, and they've worked tremendously together. And running the power spread that we're running, a little different than what Manchester's run in the past. But with our 21 and 11 personnel, we can do a lot of different things. And I'm just fired up to see what we can do come week 1 against Lakewood.
So pretty funny there. Number one, funny thing about OD, one of his favorite phrases that he always used to say as a coach to me there was KISS. keep it simple, stupid. And the more I got to know OD, I'm like, your simple's not ours. So that phrase is irrelevant. But and I took it apart. I love football. I've studied every playbook, memorized every playbook I've ever gotten. Oh my God.
He's a math teacher.
He's incredible. But what else was I gonna say there? Maybe I forgot there. Well, anyway, Ty, I know that you are really going to be enjoying OD in that sense. You're going to be trying to make sure that he's calling more plays on offense for you than anything.
Talked to him in algebra class during my junior year already. Don't worry about that.
So, Coach, go over a little more of your staff. To give everyone else a little bit of shine. Talk about who's there with you, kind of what their roles are, and give us a little bit more there.
So, like I said, Jeff Brown will be our run game coordinator, O-line coach. He comes from Jackson Memorial, won a state championship as a player. Just a great coach. O'Donnell, former head coach at Manchester, and Donovan also coached at Jackson Liberty as an OC, coached at Neptune a little bit. Just brings a plethora of knowledge. Another coach in the building. We got Demetrius Smith, who I'm really fired up about, our D-line coach. D. Smith played at Jackson Memorial. He played at Monmouth University as a one-tech. Broke a lot of records there. Would not be in his way if I was an offensive lineman. He also lives in Manchester, so I'm just fired up to have him. We got Coach Masseri, New Jersey, newly inducted New Jersey Hall of Fame head coach.
Absolute legend.
He coached at Adam. My dad at Donovan. He coached at Allentown. He coached at he just did a stint in Naples, Florida. He's coached at Howell. He's coached at New Egypt. He served in Vietnam. And, a very abbreviated story about him. He got a live mortar shell to his stomach in Vietnam.
Oof.
Live mortar shell. Like, he got onto his stomach, didn't detonate. And a lot of doctors didn't want to go cut it out. They were afraid it was going to explode. He got a Purple Heart. He's like an uncle to me, as well. He was at my christening. But he was on the cover of the Marine magazine, whatever the Marine magazine is. He had a live mortar shell in his stomach for probably about over 12 hours. So hitting the inside linebackers is awesome. I wanted to get rid of cleaning out that storage room, as I'm sure in the weight room, and we're cleaning it out. And I was like, oh, we got the green jerseys for the quarterbacks. We don't really need red jerseys. And he goes, no. We need the red jerseys for our blood shirts. That's going to go to our hardest hitting linebacker. I'm like, that. Say no more.
I love that.
At 73, he brings the most energy to the staff. Every time we go to linebacker Indy, we call it Camp Masseri. Just a great hire. And he also, then we got Alex Lund, who, he's going to be coaching our wide receivers and D-backs. He was on the staff last year with Wilk, Manchester alum. He played at Ursinus as well. Just brings a great knowledge from the Manchester community as well. Chris Lane at Manchester. It's going to be his first year of coaching. He played for the New Jersey Warriors. He went to CNJ. He's going to be helping out with the JV and the tight.
Yep. I think we lost you a little bit again, Coach. But yeah, I know you mentioned Chris Blaine. We know Chris Blaine here. David and I both know him. Mm-hmm. He's a good dude. He's definitely going to be in addition to your staff. He knows his football. So, yeah, that's going to be good.
Last but not least, we got Alex Zalewski. He played at Toms River East. His dad is a Hall of recently passed away. He coached at Toms River East at Brick Memorial, played at Toms River East, played at Montclair. He teaches at Brick Memorial. Me actually ran into him at Point Lobster grabbing the spear. And he's a jack dude. And I was like, do you coach football? He goes, actually, I haven't since my father passed away. I don't know if I'm up for it. And then he texted me 5 days later saying freshman football would be perfect for him. So just a great hire on my part as well. So we're looking forward to the staff that we have, and I couldn't be more fired up.
Yeah, you have an awesome blend there. For a fresh new coach, a young coach, you have the wisdom of the older guys, but they're respectful. They're not like your, pompous coaches. Like between Coach OD and Coach Masseri, they're both respectful guys. They're great guys through and through. And then you have some nice young guys that know their football. I feel like you're in a great spot. TZ, your impressions of this staff. Again, I know you've gone from a few coaching staffs throughout your time there. This is the new staff. You obviously know Coach OD. He's been in the building. You probably know both Alex Lunn, Coach Lunn, and Coach Blaine for being around Manchester. What are your impressions of your new staff so far? Because I feel like all you guys are fired up, and it seems like you have good reason to be.
Oh yeah, we're definitely fired up. My first impression of the staff, I looked at the staff, and so I didn't know Coach Smith and Coach Brown, but when I looked at them, like you could just tell by when you look at someone on how good of a coach they're going to be. I looked at both of them. I was like, I'm ready. Yeah, like they're fired up. I'm fired up.
That's good. That's really good. So, guys, I'm really excited. We were going to talk some college ball. We're not going to talk college ball. We filled it up with Manchester, and I love it. We don't need to go into anything else here. We talked about Manchester. I had a really good time hearing about it. Like I said, I have not been very excited about the program in years. This is the first time in a long time that I'm pumped. I will be following Manchester football through and through. Coach Farrell has the rubber stamp of approval of two people I highly respect. So I'm sure he's going to do a great job there. They have great leadership like TZ over here, Tyrone Benjamin, wide receiver corner. I have a lot of expectations for you now. So if I don't see you filling up the stat sheet, first I'm going to blame Coach. Then I'm going to find out what's going on with you. Coach for not throwing the ball enough to you. Then I'm going to find out what's up with you. Like I'm going to go the hierarchy there. I'm like, Coach, I'm not going bottom up. I'm going top down when I get my reports. But overall, I'm pumped. Dave, do you have anything you want to add before we say goodbye here?
Nah. I know I've been quiet, but I just been enjoying the conversation. I don't want to interrupt it at all. But I'm very excited. I mean, just like you, I really haven't been very involved in almost anything Manchester since I've moved. But hopefully, I mean, when I come back to visit at one point, maybe it'll be a game going on and I'll be able to actually go see.
Yeah, I'm going to make it a point to visit my family on a Friday just so I can have some Friday night lights. I'm going to try and make that a point and come there. TZ, week 3, that's a home opener. TZ, before we sign off, anything that you want to say, last words you want to say before we go?
I'm kind of a little upset though, because especially since we got a new coaching staff and it's my final year, I wish I could spend one more year. And like, as of now, looking at it, I'm very excited to have a new coach and very excited to have a new staff. But like I said, it's my last year and sucks that I can't have one more year with Coach Farrell and the rest of the staff. But, I'm going to leave. I'm going to do what I can and make it the best.
You got to enjoy every minute. Go
exactly. And TZ, I'll tell you this, if you want to do besides just doing your part on the football field, doing your job as a leader, study your ass off. Everything that the coaches give you playbook wise, scheme wise, study your ass off. And, I think you're going to be the guy that's going to be a good leader. I think you got, you talk about some good dudes. Yeah. You are the ones that the coaches teach schemes, but you make sure the boys understand it as a leader.
Right.
The coaches can put the kids in so many positions, but if you walk up to them as a corner or, as the safety's calling out I don't know what Coach Farrell's position. I played safety there. We called out the defensive scheme for our safety side. We would call whether or not we're in cover 2, cover 3, whatever we're running. Understanding where you're supposed to be when you're looking at the alignments and things like that. That's an important part for coaches to have, is guys like you that can think and things like that. So make sure you will have a memorable and a great senior year if you do those types of things and get enough guys on the field to be those types of leaders and to hold each other accountable, like Coach said, in a positive way. If you make a mistake, pick them up and be like, hey, don't happen again. We need to talk about this. Let's talk. Let's go over. Let's make it better. That type of stuff. So TZ, I'm pumped. I can't wait to see how you do this year. Coach, any last words from you before we sign out here?
I'm happy you guys were able to have me on the show. At the end of the day, it's about the kids, and I know that's cliche, but I work for them. I'm excited to change the culture and to change the perception of Manchester football, and I know you guys can agree with it being alumni. Right now, we're just focused on Lakewood. I had lunch with LJ Clark yesterday, who's the head coach at Lakewood, and he's a good friend of mine. He coached me in the All Shore game in 2013. But at the end of the day, come September 3rd. We're ready. We're ready to come and you can't go undefeated without getting the first one. So that's all we're focused about right now. I'm happy with the senior leadership. I'm happy with the numbers that are turned out. But
no, Coach Farrell dropped. Oh man, he's going to be pissed about his connection stuff.
Yeah,
I think he said he's going to be happy with the year we're going to finish out here.
I think so. He's trying to jump back on now. We'll give him a minute. He's not going to be too
I'm
happy.
sorry.
There you are. We know you're not going to be happy
good.
about your connections.
No. But I was saying real quick, and then obviously my Wi-Fi is not letting me. But we can have the size, we can have the speed, but we'll find out what's inside the chest come August 10th when we start camp. So we're excited to see where that comes out. But they've been buying into the weight room. Them and the parents have been receptive. So we'll just see where it turns out. But we're excited. It's been football season in Manchester since April, so we're fired up.
I love it. Let's go get that W. Let's get the Hawks Nest going. Let's make it the most feared place, and let's get the fans out. Hey, TZ, make our school stop being lame. Let's make us a football school. Let's get rowdy. All right.
I'm trying.
All right, man. Everybody, please go Twitter and Instagram, Manchester Township FB, Manchester TWP FB. Go follow both of those. Coach Farrell's great there, even though his Wi-Fi is not good here. I promise he's a better calm guy than that. And also go follow Coach Farrell at Coach T Farrell. He has a lot of good stuff there too. He puts a lot of things about football. The guys that are lifting, things like that, they're getting after it. It's a must see there. So
Alex, can I give you some exclusive news for your show?
Oh, I love it. Let's hear it.
Come our first game against Mattawan week 3, Manchester will have a brand new press box on top of the bleachers.
Hey,
they already
to me.
They already took down the old press box. It got taken down during our lift. I think it was the 3rd day of practice. We thought an earthquake happened in Ocean County, but it was just the press box coming down. But come week 3, we'll have a brand new press box at the Hawks Nest. So
Man,
I'm fired up for that.
About time they gave us a new press box. That thing was condemned when they built it. Anyway, thank you so much, everybody, for coming on. And thank you so much for listening. Coach is doing some rounds about talking about Manchester football. So go listen to the Shore Report as well. He gives you a really much more breakdown of things Manchester, a little more football wise. TZ's also on that show at the end with 2 other athletes. Go check that out as well. But everybody, thank you so much for listening. I will talk to everybody next week. So long, y'all.